Well, anyway, happy Tuesday. Another hot topic today. We got a great one going on. It is radon season. Actually, all year round is radon season, but it just came up as a great topic for us to be able to get out here and discuss on a Hot Topic Tuesday. So today we have with us Erin Jones, who I've come to find out is the owner of Epic Radon. And we'll call her the all-knowing one. At least she's going to be presenting to us today, Carrie Barrett. So we'll go on through, and Carrie, I turn everything over to you and Erin.
Thank you, Mr. Darwin. Thank you for having us today. It's an absolute pleasure. So again, my name is Carrie. I am the operations manager over at Epic Radon Solutions. And I have with me Erin Jones. He is the owner of Epic Radon Solutions. So Darwin has asked us to come in and provide a little education. I see a few screens on here, but how many of you, or if you could throw it in the chat, how many of you know what radon is? Raise a hand. Anybody know what radon is? I see 1, 2, I see a couple, 3. I see that's not very many. It's not very many for the amount that actually goes around. So I do have a presentation. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. If you guys have any questions, by all means, you can unmute yourself, stop, ask. During the presentation, I'm not going to be able to see my chat box very well, so please unmute yourself, stop me, and ask me. All right, can everyone see the screen? Perfect. Oh, now you see yourselves, don't you? It won't
no, you're still up.
Is it? It's showing me you instead of the screen.
Oh, yeah, no, you're Carrie out here. You're good. We
okay,
are
good.
seeing your presentation.
Good. All right. So radon, a little bit about radon. Radon awareness, unfortunately, hasn't came out as much as it should. Radon awareness is basically derived by the EPA at this point. And the EPA states that radon has been found to be the second leading cause of lung cancer in non-smokers. Step back and think about all of the individuals that you have heard of that have developed lung cancer but never smoked a day in their life. The animals that develop lung cancer for no apparent reason. It's very possible that radon could be the cause. How do you know if you have radon? Well, it's odorless, it's tasteless, it doesn't have a smell to it. You don't know it's there unless you're going to test for it. So how are we going to test for it? Will be coming up in that next slide. Next, we're going to talk about getting an estimate, the quote process, how long it's going to take. What does a mitigation system do? How much does it cost? How do I get scheduled? All of the above. And then we'll talk about the mitigation process and the post-testing. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to this next slide here. One of the questions that I often get when speaking with others is radon harmful? Is it real? Is it a scam? It's a very valid question. But yes, it's very real. Unfortunately, it's not a scam. I wish to say it was. I have personally met 2 families who have had lung cancer due to radon. Their stories have been absolutely incredible and heartbreaking all at the same time. So radon has been found again as the second leading cause of lung cancer in non-smokers. However, please note it can metastasize into other areas as well. So a radon level of 4.0 PCI-L, so picocurie per liter in a home, is what the EPA states should be mitigated. A level of 4.0 is equivalent to smoking a half a pack of cigarettes a day. Recent studies are showing 15,000 to 21,000 lung cancer deaths per year in the United States. In the United States, and about 2,900 of those are non-smokers. How do you know if you have radon? How do we test for radon? Well, in home inspections, a lot of home inspectors are starting to test for radon in the process as well. There are a few HUD regions. There are a few counties and districts that are now starting to require radon tests. So be aware. I could see that coming within hopefully the next year, if not the next couple of years. There's going to be some more awareness coming out. But definitely talk to your home inspector. And we also have short-term tests. So a short-term test can be ran anywhere between 3 and 7 days. You can perform it yourself. It's super easy to do. You can pick them up just about anywhere. You can go to Lowe's, you can go to Home Depot, you can go to Menards. However, there is sometimes a catch with those. There may be lab fees associated. So make sure you take a look at your package if that is something that you're interested in doing. If you want to make it easy, give me a call. I can put one in the mail for you. All done. We also have professional testing available. That would be $165. That's where we will come in, set up the devices, and we'll come back in approximately 3 to 4 days, pick it up, and get your results back to you. How much does it cost?
Does that include the fees for the lab?
Mine does. Yes. Thank you. Yes, mine does include the lab fees, and it also includes shipping.
Okay, so you're saying if you go and buy one and do it yourself, then you need to send it to a lab and wait for the results, and who knows if they know what they're doing. That's what I'm hearing.
Yes, correct. So you can set it into the lab. The one concern I would have is sometimes there's lab fees associated, and I've heard of others getting billed afterwards. And it was like almost $50. I was, whew.
Carrie, that's not from AirCheck though, is it?
No, those are the ones from Lowe's, Radon, or Lowe's or Home Depot.
Okay. Yeah, AirCheck's pretty good about making sure there's no additional lab fees or postage necessary. And then they also will let you know if the test was done incorrectly. They can usually tell based on the analysis from the material if it was done properly or not. And then they'll put that in the report.
Absolutely. AirCheck is our preferred. All right, radon systems and the costs. There are a few different radon systems in ways that we can run a radon system. I apologize. I don't believe, oh, I did put one in here. So here is a photo of a radon mitigation system. What it does is it is pulling a pressure from underneath the foundation of the home and sucking the gases out from the soil beneath, and then creating a pressure on the inside of the house to then mitigate the gases to disperse above the roof line and out of harm's way. So stepping back to this and the cost, a couple different types of systems. Again, we have that standard up and out, which is what you just saw on the picture. And then we also have an interior route that is plausible if it is available in the home. The system also comes with one of the short-term self-administered AirCheck test kits. We do have a few options of upgrades available, such as a larger fan, the route, low voltage fans, replacement sump pumps, crawl space encapsulations, and a few other things. Warranty information, customer satisfaction. We have a 5-year transferable warranty, transferable thus, if you should sell your house, the warranty will stay with the house, and we will honor that to the new homeowners as well. We do have a guarantee. There are a few mitigation companies out there that do not have a guarantee, but we do have a guarantee that we will reduce your radon levels below a 3.9 in accordance to the EPA. With that being said, though, however, we do take a look at our test results just about every morning. Our average test results are coming into a 0.8 to a 1.1. So while we guarantee to bring you below that 3.9, we are bringing them much, much lower as well. Availability and scheduling, we do Monday through Saturday appointments. Yes, Saturday appointments are also available. We have very quick turnaround times, sometimes next day, sometimes next day. We have 2 appointments available a day, so we have an AM or a PM, and the whole mitigation process itself takes about 2 to 4 hours to complete. Do we have any questions so far?
Nothing that has come through so far. I
All
think
right.
the only thing that I would look at, matter of fact, you're on the one I was wondering about. What or why do you have something that might look different if there is a basement with a sump pump?
I do. Did I lose my share?
Yeah, that's a lot more common that a lot of folks may be used to. Wow, John, way up to 9. That's huge.
Are you able to see my screen?
Not yet.
No.
Yeah, boy, you know it's almost funny, John, you say that when you got somebody who tested at 9.0, you almost feel like you've got to go notify your neighbors or notify the neighbors so that they know. That's really interesting.
Yeah, I just
Still
noticed
not
this
up there
chat
yet,
here.
Jerry.
I just noticed this chat here too, and I could have been responding to it, so forgive me on that. But yeah, if you have a house that's a 9, generally construction is going to be similar between neighbors, right? So you might have some of the same entry points, and it might be kind of the same similar type of build, similar soil underneath the house. So it's very probable that the other house next door to it would be high as well, especially with like a level like a 9. So it's not that's not close to the threshold, that's pretty solid in terms of being over the action level. So you would probably want to go ahead and test that house as well.
Awesome. Awesome.
And we do cover all of the state of Michigan right now. So our main office is out of Brighton. I also have a second office where I live at out of Lansing, Michigan. But we've gone up to the UP. We do stuff up north. We do stuff in the Thumb. We do stuff on Grand Rapids side. We even go to northern Indiana sometimes. Radon mitigators aren't kind of like a dime a dozen like plumbers. You won't find 10 plumbers. You'll find 10 plumbers in your city, right? But you won't find 10 mitigators. So we travel to where the work is.
So Carrie, yeah, you're showing now the sump pump. How does it work when you?
And thank you, Darwin, for bringing me back to that. Sump pump installations are very common as well. We have 2 ways that we can mitigate. One of them going through the sump, as you can see in this picture. This is a sump crock. The sump pump is inside. There is a little bit of glare over that because we install a clear piece of plastic. It's a Lexan that goes right over that crock, and then we will customize that lid for any drainage that's currently going into it. May it be a water softener or furnace line, anything of that nature. And then we will install the piping into that hole. From there, the piping runs up the basement floor and then exits to the outside of the home. I apologize, I don't have a picture of that in here. And then we will then continue over to the outside of the home, just above ground level. That's where the fan is inlined. Electrical on that. Electrical costs are minimum. The fans themselves only run anywhere between 35 to 95 watts, depending on the fan itself. Not too bad on electrical costs. I get that question quite often.
Yeah, it's about equivalent to leaving a light bulb on.
So we've got, our company goes from Port Huron all the way over to Manistee, and obviously we're in metropolitan Detroit. Are there any areas where radon is found to be more prevalent than others?
So the average indoor for radon in the country is 1 out of every 15 homes. But particularly in Washtenaw County, Livingston, and also Oakland County, that's where we're going to see most of our high levels and most of our business being done in the state of Michigan. I think a lot of it, though, has to do with just higher awareness and more testing. But honestly, any house is liable to have a radon issue at any time. So
recently, I've discovered there's more awareness in Oxford County. Oxford County is becoming very high radon levels, as well as Genesee.
Awesome. All right. Now, there are a couple of questions came up there in the chat room. Let's see if I can get my mouse to work correctly. Is there a flap to maintain the sump if it breaks or shorts out? Otherwise, if something goes wrong with the sump.
All we're sealing that with is silicone caulk. X-Acto knife, pop it right up. You can seal it back up with some silicone yourself if you would like to. If you need help, give us a call, send somebody else to pop it back on for you.
Excellent. And here's one, knowing that you guys have those 2 primary locations and yet you're going all over, do you charge mileage in addition to the cost of the testing?
That's a very good question. Very good question. And no, we do not. It is a flat rate.
All right. And then additional question to that is 3.9 the lowest rate that can be obtained after mitigation?
No, absolutely. The lowest rate that can be obtained is a 0.5 to a 0.6.
So when we say 3.9, we're really just doing that to get it below the
To an
EPA.
acceptable level.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. We use the Lansing office to do our Chesterfield issues. So that's what we've got right now for questions. Anybody else got any questions current? Is someone on dial-up? Is that? I don't know. Something sounds really weird. I can tell you that. I don't know if we've got anybody else, but let's see if that took care of it.
All right.
First sounded like I thought, man, is that like a siren? And why haven't they got by yet? So anyway, no, we should be all set. Sounds like we got that silenced. So back to you.
Perfect. Unless there are any other questions, that is what I have for today. If you would like to get into contact with us, please do not hesitate for any additional questions. Maybe I did not answer and you do have questions. Our main email is info@epicradon.com, or you can email me directly at Carrie@epicradon.com.
Yeah.
And it's KERRI at
That was your question too.
EPICRADON.com.
Yeah. So you guys are awful quiet, and Carrie's done a real quick, nice job of being able to inform how the radon comes in, where it's coming from. Actually, Aaron, I think maybe it might be a neat one. I think you threw out a kind of good trivia question as to how radon even become kind of known to where it needed to be checked. Why not share that story again? That was interesting.
Yeah, so back when I was kind of going through training and stuff about a decade ago in class, I was always interested in how it came up too. And what happened is kind of in the mid 80s, there's this nuclear power plant employee in central Pennsylvania. And when you work at the nuclear power plant, you can become exposed to radiation or, radioactive material, and it can actually get on your clothes. So they go through this kind of decontamination process, and then they go through kind of like this scanner, almost like where they can detect the radiance or whatever. And what would happen is this particular employee, Stanley Watrous, one day he came to work and he set off the alarms and the sensors and all that because he was radioactive coming from his house rather than leaving the plant. And they said, there's no way that could possibly happen. How does he have that much radioactivity or, on his clothes? So they actually went to his home and they did some testing and they couldn't figure out what was going on. And then eventually they came up with a theory that his house was sitting kind of on a deposit of uranium, and uranium eventually breaks down into radon gas in the soil, and it was coming up into his home through his basement. So he was kind of the very first kind of person in America who they realized, wow, radon, if it's able to set off our detectors at the plant, which we check people for when they're leaving to make sure they don't take it to their house, then this could actually be a real viable problem for people's homes. And so that's kind of where it all kind of originally stemmed from.
I love that story. And, so guys, if you ever have anybody that says, well, why is it it's so prevalent now? Well, it's because, again, we got into energy conservation, and we are literally sealing the interior of the home so that air doesn't escape the home. It doesn't breathe naturally the way it would if you go back, when we didn't have double pane windows, we had storm windows, and, the doors that we had, we just didn't worry about it. Well, back then, because of that, they did breathe. Now they don't. Guys, I had another question here that came up, and John, it just slipped because I've had a heart attack 6 years ago. I'm blaming it on that. John, what was the question that you said?
what test do they recommend is more accurate than others if you're gonna test to see if radon?
So in testing, we know that, Carrie, you had mentioned it. Is there one type of test that's more accurate than another? Should we have a preference when we have an inspector do those?
That is a very good question. The one preference I would say is do look for somebody who is certified to perform radon mitigation. You can find those certified measurement professionals. It's nrpp.info. Aaron, if you could put that in the chat, you would be able to find certified measurement professionals. As for other devices, if you were to do a short term for a long term, I do see them kind of come back regular in occurrence. They're usually pretty equal, whether we're doing a charcoal activated kit or there is a one that measures, you plug it in and it measures on the hour, every hour continuously. But I do see them coming back about the same most of the time.
Okay. That's why I was just, because he brought that up, and I know the charcoal, it's in there, but you get one end result versus, you know, if you have one that's there for a couple of days, you'll have that report that way.
So I was able to pop into the chat, so I can see the questions now.
Okay.
Another question was, you understand that the levels vary seasonally. Is there a best time or worse? Another very good question. Yes, radon does fluctuate through the seasons. When we have a wet season where it's just rainy constantly, you're going to see an increase in the radon levels. When we have a dry period, like right now, it's been fairly dry for the last couple weeks. Some of you may have gotten some rain. I got absolutely nothing yesterday and was a little sad. But right now we're going to see radon levels go low. In the winter, we have a blanket of snow covering the ground. The gases have nowhere to go. They're looking for the path of least resistance, warmth. They're trying to come in. Keep in mind too, many homes have a furnace in their basement. You have an intake furnace in your basement, which is taking in air from the basement, heating it and dispersing it around the house. Unfortunately, the radon has now spread around the house as well, which could be part of the reason why we see higher levels.
And a lot of it is just because
oh, go ahead, Aaron.
Oh yeah, yep. A lot of it's just because, you know, in the wintertime, you know, we're all again so energy efficient nowadays, and you know, you don't want to lose your heated atmosphere of your house to the outdoor air and then cause your power bill to go up. So you know, radon just kind of comes in turn with that. So it definitely always is going to be higher in the wintertime than in the summertime. Plus you're doing things that'll help you out, like opening windows, you know, in the summertime, and you're just generally having a more open home. I'm not sure Carrie said that. I was also responding to the chat here. Someone mentioned a barometer of sorts, and it's actually, it is called it's a manometer. So pretty close. It's like, it's basically in the shape of like kind of a U, and one side has high levels, has a high reading, and that should be plugged into the pipe. So when the system pulls, it kind of just sucks on the water, and that creates an uneven pressure. So it's a pressure gauge that we install on every system. So if you're ever concerned about whether the system's working or not, you can just go down there and there's an instant visual cue that it's actually on and running properly. So that's actually, if anyone ever has an issue with a system, or they call and they have questions about it, that's kind of our go-to thing to ask, you know, what's your pressure gauge reading? And we'll ask you that and kind of diagnose it over the phone first, and then kind of use that to determine if we need to send someone out to the house in order to make an adjustment.
Aaron did a great response in regards to whether or not radon testing is required. It's not. Obviously, it's a buyer's best interest to have it checked. Should we be recommending it? Well, I think it's getting to that point to where we almost have to do that. We have to recommend it. You know, if we go years back, we didn't do inspections of any type. There were no home inspectors. So, you know, we change as the, well, as the market changes with us. So I could see it happening, but yeah, you might want to just share your stories. And what was the percentage? What is it? 1 in 15 homes test positive or test exceeding EPA standard? So that would be something to now remember and be able to share, that 1 in 15 homes would Well, I'm going to ask you guys to repeat that statistic again, so that we would have that to be able to share with the buyer.
1 in 15 homes have been found to have radon in them. The EPA states a radon mitigation system should be mitigated at a level of 3.9 or above.
Okay, so there you have it. 1 in 15 have been found to have it. How do you like lung cancer? You know, it's weigh the risk versus the cost.
Yes.
And they then have the opportunity, because we've guided them with the information, they can decide whether or not they want to invest in a radon test. So let's see, there's a good question. Should a walkout basement or daylight still be tested?
Yes, absolutely. Even if there is airflow, absolutely, it still should be tested. We mitigate walkout basements on the regular.
Good. Now, Aaron, you put currently HUD homes do require it. When you say HUD, is that then the repossessed homes that we're referring to?
Yeah, so just housing and urban development. I believe it was about 6 years ago now, they put out a guidance that said that all homes that are to be sold that are in the HUD program, they must have a radon test done. So that's like a federally, funded and backed program where they've actually accepted that. It was really kind of a big deal in the industry when it happened, and it kind of caused a surge in kind of commercial mitigations across the country, because HUD is a lot of times they go into neighborhoods that are not as I guess affluent, and then they'll go ahead and try to redo or reconstitute homes and then resell them. So when you have those types of homes, they do require that you go ahead and test, as well as like all of the multifamily properties that they do, apartment buildings and things like that they go in and refurbish. So that was kind of a big step, I guess, in radon, for the sense that the government was actually saying, hey, you kind of have to do this under our program. So I think that the reason that it hasn't been mandated all the way across is there's just not enough mitigators. It would completely shut down like the process of selling and buying homes. We just wouldn't have enough people out there to do it in order to keep up with it.
Awesome. All right. Well, I am showing 12:29 in a few seconds, so not enough time to address anything. Aaron, I know you addressed all those questions that came up in the chat room.
Mhm.
Thank you for that.
No problem.
Aaron, Carrie, we thank you for your time and coming and visiting with us. Guys, the
Yes.
information is up there. They can take care of every office within our 18 office firm across the state of Michigan. So thank you again, you guys. There's a wrap up to another Hot Topic Tuesday.
Yes.
See you next week.